All right, welcome everybody to another Deepvue tutorial. This is going to be a really exciting one where I'll be giving a full demo of the program and walking through pretty much every feature and module that we currently have available at this time. So yeah, stick with me. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, and make sure to leave a like down below. Check out deepvue.com if you'd like to sign up. And yeah, stick around and leave a like if you enjoy and if you're excited for this new and innovative products. So getting right into it, let's go ahead and start with the overall layout of Deepvue. Over here on the left-hand side, you can see the main navigation menu. We've got the screener module, Deeplist module, alerts module, Deepvue knowledge base, your account, as well as the support module here. These are the current modules that we have available. We're definitely working on a bunch more, including journaling, trade analytics, some chart simulators, that type of thing. But as of right now, these are the main ones that represent the core foundation of the Deepvue platform. So you can go ahead and hide this menu. So you just got the icons here. That's how I like to keep it. But definitely go ahead and feel free to check out all these different modules here. And we'll go through each of the main ones here within this video. First things first, looking at the screener, let's take a look at this, and let's go ahead and hide the stats, the data table, as well as a stats chart for just a second. Over here on the left-hand side, you've got your data columns. You can drag the chart to the left and right to reveal more of the data columns, and this is where you can house all the data that you'd like to see, what's relevant to your process. As you're going through charts, you can go ahead and flip through one, spacebar through, as I'm showing right here, and you can quickly see all the relevant data that's sorted and stored in your data columns. And you can see the setup that I've currently got going right here. And during the training day, I like to keep it around here because these are the most important columns in terms of actionable data for me during the training day when I'm reviewing ideas and keeping tabs on the stocks I currently own. But you certainly can play with this and customize it as much as you want. And that's one of the core foundations and missions of Deepvue, is that we want this to be as customizable to your process as possible. And pretty much everything you see here in Deepvue can be tailored to exactly how you would most find it useful. And that goes to the data that you can choose, the data columns, the stats table, how your chart is set up, as well as the data table that we'll get to in just a second. So in order to customize this, what you'd want to do is go ahead and click this gear icon up here. This brings up the data columns setting menu. You can go ahead and select what data columns you'd like to include within your program. You can see my current selection over here on the right-hand side. If you simply check one of these, you can see it's added right here at the top, as well as in real time over here. You can also drag and drop, reorder them. It's reordered in real time over here. So it's very easy to use and set up, and you're able to save multiple column sets. You can see you've got a few different ones right here. You can save them within folders to stay organized. Some people like to have a column set that they use primarily on the weekends as they're reviewing, overall setups for maybe longer term position trades, while during the trading day, they might want a more actionable setup. That's a common use that we found a lot of Deepvue founders and users set up, but definitely up to you to organize it however you wish. In order to create a new column set, what you do is go ahead and give this a click. You can save it, select the folder you'd like to save it into, and customize it as much as you want. I'll go ahead and get rid of that data point using the X here, and you can see it once again, it updates in real time, and you're able to use these folder systems to navigate to any of the dozens and dozens, really hundreds of data points that we've got available, or you can always use the search bar here, and you'll find that this is very similar to the screening process, which we'll get into in just a few minutes. So Xing this out, let's go ahead and move on from the data columns, and basically you can always reset the columns, clear sorting as well, but we'll go ahead and leave it as is and X this out. All right, so I already talked about how you can drag this back and forth so you can see more columns if you'd like to. One other highlight that I'd like to focus on when it comes to the data columns is the ability to sort by any column here that you've got set up, as well as using the multi-sort capability to sort within groups and within different criteria. So first, talking about just single sorting, let's go ahead and clear sorting that I've got currently activated using this brush right here. Now it goes back to alphabetical, which is the default. Say I want to sort by the price percent change, current day, and you can see you can hover over any data column here and get a little bit more about it and its overall name here. Let's go ahead and click the column header once to sort it from highest to lowest. You can click it one more time to sort from lowest to highest, and you can clear the sorting by clicking it one more time. Or as I mentioned, if it is sorted, you can always go ahead and click this brush icon to reset it to alphabetical. So that's how you sort by any column you'd like to. Let's go ahead and sort by volume today. You can see Tesla had the most volume. We'll go ahead and clear sorting. Then just to show it off one more time, sort by daily and closing range. You can see it's sorting from highest to lowest, with 100% being the highest. And if we click LUV, you can see that closed right at the top of the day's training range, which is what a 100% daily closing range signifies. And one more thing that I really want to stress when it comes to Deepvue is we also want to make this program really intuitive and very visual as well, because it's not very useful to have dozens and dozens of columns if they're just throwing data at you. It's not organized, and it's kind of unclear. So what we try to do with Deepvue is, with the majority of data columns, add a visual element to it. So for instance, you can see with the daily closing range, we've got a mock-up of a candlestick here. So if I go ahead and unsort by this, you can see that if the stock is around a 45% daily closing range, just below the mid tier of the bar, you've got a visual representation right there for you in the data column. So even if I'm not on the stock, say I'm on A, B, and B, I can immediately tell that Apple closed very closely to the top of its trading range today. Same thing with ABC, and you can see that AHR closed pretty close to the low, so let's give that a click. And you can see that's the case right here. So it really helps you narrow down on ideas and find stuff faster and get a really nice, representation of the day's trading, even without looking at the chart, because a combination of the daily closing range, the daily percent change, as well as the run rate of volume, which is basically the volume, compared to the normal, the average at that time of day. So whether it's 9:50 a.m. Eastern or right near the close, it's going to give you a representation of volume compared to normal. Over 100% means above average. This is just slightly above average here today. And let's go ahead and actually sort by that run rate. And you can see that DOCN was 358% above average. So quite a lot more volume than average, as you can tell right here. And you can see that the volume next to the volume here is another really nice visual that I really find helpful. You can see the last 5 trading days of volume right here with you. So some really handy features when it comes to visualization in Deepvue, and we're always adding new ideas to make it more intuitive and just more appealing overall to use. So that's pretty much it when it comes to sorting by a single column. Let's go ahead and erase this, but you might find it helpful to also use a multi-sort as you're going through ideas. So a great example of this is industries are broken down into discrete values, meaning you've got different categories here. So any data point that is discrete, where it's got different categories, is going to be useful to use using multi-sort. Let's go ahead and sort by industry group. Let's do it one more time to go from A to Z. And now what I can do is sort within these groups by any other data column by just clicking the top of one of the headers. So let's go ahead and click DCR. And you can see that now within airlines, I'm sorting by DCR. So we go from 100 down to 1%. Same thing when we get to auto parts, we've got a 99% one and then a 21% one. Biotechnology, a pretty big group. You've got a wide range here. So as you're going through stocks on the weekends, it's very helpful to look within groups, sort by that, so you see that overall theme as a whole, how it's performing. And if biotech, all of them on one day have 90-95% ranges on a pickup in volume on a nice percent gain, that tells you something. And also if you've got a lot of ones finishing near lows on, once again, a pickup in volume, they're down big on the day, that also gives you a sense of, how that stock group, how that sector, how that industry group is performing on that particular day. So it's really helpful to use the multi-sort as you're going through ideas, as you're going through both screen results as well as watch lists. So let's go ahead and move on from multi-sort and now just getting into stock presets. So in order to find screen presets and also to select any stock screen that you've created previously, what you want to do is go up here, click this drop-down menu, and you can either search for a screen or scroll down to a previous one that you've created, or navigate over to screener presets where we've got dozens of screens pre-made for you guys. So some really helpful ones here: 52-week highs, up on volume, inside days, new highs, recent IPOs, RS, really strong new highs here. We've got some different markets that you can go by, fundamental screens, as well as a few of specially made ones by us representing different market wizards and top traders that you definitely want to go investigate. And these are great foundations for screens. It's a great way to look for ideas that you can use in your own process. And I highly recommend go ahead and checking these out. And in order to use them, what you'd want to do is go ahead and click the three dots next to them, and you can click duplicate to create your own version of the screen, or you can simply go ahead and give it a click and it'll load that screen right there for you. You can see there's currently this number of stocks meeting this criteria. So that's pretty much it when it comes to selecting a screen that you've already made. Let's go ahead and switch back to the Deepvue universe screen. And of course, you can always go over to screener presets as I mentioned. And with that, let's move on to actually creating a new screen from scratch. So let's go ahead and X this out. And in order to create a new screen, what you want to do is click this button up here. And you can see now a very similar screen that popped up when the data columns were, editable. So what you want to do is go ahead and find the criteria you want, either using the drop-down menus or just by giving it a search. And what we're going to do today is create a screen that looks for stocks with upside reversals, meaning strong closing ranges, right near the 21-day simple moving average. So you can see the filters that you have over here. Right now we've got no filters applied. So let's go ahead and add our first one, which is going to be just looking for stocks within a 2% range above or below that 21 day. So let's go ahead and do price. Actually, let's search SMA here, and let's go ahead and do price versus SMA. And you can see we can go ahead and select a few different moving averages, but we're going to use the 21 day here. And you can either have it set to be, greater than the 21 day by a certain amount, less than the 21 day by a certain amount, or within a range. And that's what we're going to use right here. So let's do minus 2%, and let's get rid of that extra negative there to 2% above that moving average. And then all you have to do is click add, and you can see it's automatically updating here right there live for you. And you can see the filter being applied right here. So that's all good. And for the next thing, let's do that daily closing range. So let's search for DCR. And let's go ahead and switch this to DCR. And let's have this be greater than, let's say, 70%. So it's got to close within 70% of the day's range. And you've got these same options as we had before, but you just want to select greater right here. You can also use this slider to select this value. I personally like to just type it in. Let's go ahead and click and add that. Then we want stocks with pretty strong momentum. So let's look for stocks with absolute strength, meaning, compared to the rest of the stocks in the market, what is the percent gain over the past 3 months and how does that compare to everything else? We'll look for absolute strength of greater than 80%. So let's go ahead and search performance and click performance scores. Let's go ahead and switch this to absolute strength. You can also search relative strength, but I like personally absolute strength. Let's do 3 months and greater than 80%. Click add. So this is already a really nice base for a screen. You've already got down to 367 stocks, but we're going to keep going just to show you guys what you can do with the Deepvue platform. And now let's sort by, base liquidity. So we want a certain amount of dollars in terms of, shares, volume traded in a day. So let's go ahead and use dollar volume criteria. So let's go ahead and search average Oop, can't type here today. So let's do average dollar volume 20-day. Let's switch this to 20-day here. You can also use 50-day there. And let's set this equal to at least 5 million. Obviously, you can switch up this criteria depending on how you like to trade. Some people like a lot more liquid than this. Some people like the less liquid stocks that can move a little bit more. But this is pretty good for my process. So you can also see that we're down to 127 results out of over 11,000 already. So it's already really good. But what we're going to do now is talk about the OR filter. That is a really unique feature that you can add to the Deepvue platform. So let's go ahead and add an OR group right here. You can see it down below. And let's go ahead and give that a click to select it. So what this OR group is basically it's a different logical filter that you can apply within Deepvue. It's very unique. And what it allows you to do is basically combine screens that have very similar base criteria, but you might want to look for, one or two different but similar things. For instance, some people like to look for earnings growth over 25%, then have another entire screen that's pretty much the same thing, but looking for sales growth over 25%. In Deepvue, you can basically combine those two screens into one using this OR filter. So this first group here is an AND filter, meaning that every single one of these criteria needs to be met for the stock to pass through this screen. But once all the stocks go into this group, only one of the criteria that we put into this group needs to be met in order for the stock to pass through the entire screen, all the filters here, and show up within the results. So let's go ahead and add the filters right here. Let's go ahead and show you how to use the folders here. Let's look for EPS growth quarterly, latest quarter is good. And let's look for over 20%. Add that. You can see it's added to the OR group. Let's do the same thing, for sales growth. So you can see we've already severely limited our results here. But let's go ahead and do growth, also greater than 20%. Add that. And you can see that we actually added a few results here, and that's because it only has to meet one of these criteria, only meet EPS growth or sales growth over 20%. And let's also pass through stocks that just have really strong recent momentum here. So even if they don't have great earnings growth or sales growth, if they've got really good momentum, we'll go ahead and pass that through the screen. So once again, let's look for absolute strength. It's under performance scores. Let's click that. And we'll do AS score 1 month. So looking at only the 1 month's price action, how's it compared to every other stock? Let's go ahead and put this above 93. And it's 93 out of 100. So there you go. You can see we've added some more stocks in here. It started with 20, looking just at earnings. Then it went to 28, looking at sales as well. And now we've added a few more that were just really strong over the past month and had an absolute strength score of over 93. So we've got overall 34 stocks showing up through this screen. And that's pretty much it for creating a screen in Deepvue. It's very quick and intuitive. You can obviously X out any of the criteria right here, as well as clear all here. And in order to say if you wanted to add another criteria to group 1, just give that a click before you go ahead and search for that filter, or select it through actually going through the different folders. If you want to go back to group 2, you can go ahead, and give that a click and then select the filters. And then obviously you want to go ahead and save the screen. We'll call this DCR tutorial. And you can go ahead and select a folder if you'd like to, but we'll go ahead and just click save. And there you go. Then you can go ahead and tab through the different stocks. You can see they've all got really nice hammer type candles here. Let's move this over right near that where that 21-day simple moving average would be. So there's a really handy, pullback type screen if you're looking for more pullback type buys versus breakouts, depending on how you trade. So definitely a very useful screen, and it really shows the functionality and ability that you have with the Deepvue platform to really get granular and use, that and or filter system, which is pretty unique and allows you to be really dynamic with how you screen and basically find ideas faster. And that's the whole goal with Deepvue. And you might notice that we got rid of our data columns here, and that's because you can associate a screen with a particular data column set. That's an added functionality here. And to add a data column set, what you want to do is go back to wherever you've saved your data columns, or if you'd like to choose a different one, go ahead and choose a different one. But we'll go ahead and choose that one right here, and you can see it loads very quickly right over there. So that's pretty much it for screening. And if at any time you want to edit a screen, just go ahead and give this a click. You can also see that there's 7 filters in this screen, and you can make any changes. Go ahead and save it, or as always, you can go ahead and choose a different screen here. We'll go back to the Deepvue Universe screen, and you can see that's loaded right there. And you can see there's 15 criteria here. This is one of the key preset screens here in Deepvue. This is kind of where I start my screening on a weekend basis. And you can see that it really takes advantage of the and/or filter systems with 3 different OR groups. And in order to add another group, what you do is just give that a click, and you can always go ahead and delete these and go back. But we'll go ahead and X out. And yeah, feel free to really mess around with the edit screen capabilities, and let us know if you have any questions or any requests for other data points that you'd like us to add to the program. All right, so with that covered, let's go ahead and move on quickly to the actual chart here. Once again, it's fully customizable. You can drag this all the way over here if you'd like to expand the chart room, as I like to do. You can also go ahead and add multiple screens here and change the timeframes by clicking in a window and selecting a different time frame, as you can see right here. But just for tutorial purposes, we'll keep it to 1. And I've got a whole tutorial video focused on multi time frame layout, so go ahead and check that out. We'll link it down below. It's also located in the Deepvue knowledge base. If you give this a click, you can find all the different tutorials and educational articles right here, organized by module and feature. So definitely go ahead and check this out. There's also a lot of definitions for different data points down here. So if you're curious about any of these, definitely go ahead and check this out. And if you still have any questions, let us know through the support module or by email. So moving on, in order to edit the background of the chart, what you want to do is give this a right click, or just click on Mac and then click settings. You can also go ahead and click this icon over here. You can change the look of your symbol. If you're using a candlestick, it'll show up different options. Definitely if you're using bars, uncheck this. That just makes it a little bit thicker. And otherwise, you can go ahead and edit any of these different specifications when it comes to your chart. I've got a whole tutorial on setting up your screen, so I won't go too in depth here, but you can go ahead and change the look of the background. I know a lot of people like a more dark theme, so definitely go ahead and check that out. You can take those off. It's a really nice clean look, but personally I like the light, as specifically for tutorials, but many people like the dark theme, which will be introducing dark mode for the whole program pretty soon, so stay on the lookout for that. But just for tutorials, I like the white background. I think it shows up a little bit better. You can definitely go ahead and change your margins, your left margins, top margins, bottom margins, and also the look of your scales. And also, let's go ahead and press cancel here. You can go ahead and right click on the price scale, and you can choose how it's basically scaled over here. You can do arithmetic, you can do percent, you can do index to 100. You've also got some other options here. If it's all squished, let's go back to logarithmic. If it's all squished like this, if you give it a double click, it will auto fit. And you can also make sure that this is checked over here. But you've also got some different options if you would like to make use of them over here on the right hand side. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the chart. Definitely go ahead and mess around and make this look exactly as you would like it. You can use any indicator you want by clicking this and searching between dozens and dozens of options here. And you can click DV and find our proprietary indicators, and we'll always be adding these to our arsenal. Let's go ahead and do the Deepvue Webby RSI. You can see it right here down below. And you can also go ahead and X things out or collapse panes using these options, or move it up if you'd like to. We'll move it back down and then exit out. And also you can go ahead and add the RS line. I know a lot of people will be looking for this one, and you can see it's scaled a little bit weird when it starts here on the screen. So what we want to do is go into the indicator tree, press these 3 dots and do move to new pane above. If you'd like to keep it on that main chart, we'll go back and move to existing pane below. What you can also do is pin to a new right scale or new left scale, and then you can adjust those scales independently as you would like to, and move it up and down and all that. But I personally like to move it to a new pane above, so let's go ahead and do that. And you've also got the Deepvue stage analysis indicator based on our conversations with Stan himself. And I like to also move this to a new pane above just to keep this pane clear, and we can even move to existing pane above and keep it with that relative strength line. And for any indicator that you select, you can always go ahead and go into the tree and click the options, the settings icon here, and change associated settings with that particular indicator. So definitely spend some time and make your chart look exactly as you would like to. And you can go ahead and save an indicator template so it's always available. For instance, I've got this pretty clean moving average template that I pretty much primarily use, but definitely go ahead and make this your own. And as I mentioned, you can easily spacebar through your chart results or watch this, as we'll get to in just a few minutes. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the chart layout. You can also edit the time frame settings. You can basically star these so it shows up here right there for quick, easy access. You can also change whether you use bars or candles or columns, line, whatever you would like. You can go ahead and change that. You've also got your drawing icons right here. So if you want to draw a trend line, you can go ahead and do that. You can always go ahead and adjust the settings for that trend line, adjust the thickness, the color, all of that. You've got full customizability options available here in the Deepvue platform. I know a lot of people will be looking for the anchored VWAP, so that's under the trendline tools. Click anchor VWAP, then you can place it wherever you'd like. Also drag it afterwards, and I've also got it saved as a favorite indicator, so this panel floats right here, and I can easily click that and place it wherever I'd like to. And you can see that it's pretty quick and easy to do. And in order to add this to a favorite, what you want to do is just add to favorite. This menu will pop up, and you can basically select it very quickly in this pane. Lastly, or not lastly, but one more key feature is you can compare this chart to something else. So let's go ahead and compare it to the SPY. Let's go ahead and do a new pane, and you can see that the SPY is now plotted down below. Obviously, you can change how this looks here. We can do candles. And you can change, as much as you want here and change that look. But it's really handy to compare, quickly compare a stock to the SPY to get a sense of how that stock is performing versus the market. We'll go ahead and X that out. And you basically have unlimited options when it comes to, indicators here. We'll go ahead and add a bunch here just to prove that point. We've got a ton added here to the chart. And you can basically make this your own however you'd like. Create your dream trading layout, but that's a little bit too much for me, so we'll go ahead and X these out over here, as well as turn these over here. And if you'd ever just like to hide a particular indicator, you can use the eye icon, and that hides it on the chart. You can see it auto scales when I do hide that 200-day moving average to basically adjust the scaling to just fit that current price action. So that's almost it when it comes to the chart. One more thing is you can go ahead and use the go to date feature to go back in time. We'll go ahead and do a custom range and go back to 2022 until today. We'll adjust that. You can see it automatically adjusts the time frame. So this is really handy for going back, studying chart patterns, studying monster stocks from past years. As long as we've got the data, you can go ahead back to that date and do as much studying as you want. Lastly, I do want to show how to create an alert. You can either create a price line and right click on this, click add alert. This pops up and you can add a note here. You can change the settings here, how you like to be notified, whether it's just by email, SMS, or the pop-up within the chart and within the program. But basically select how you would like it to be and then press create. You can also just right click on the price chart, click add alert, and add a particular value, say 200, and fill out the same options here. You can change how long you want this alert to be activated. And once this is satisfactory, go ahead and click create. And you can see a line pops up here to signify that alert has been set. And in the future, we'll also be adding alerts based on moving average crosses, volume run rates, and we'll get a lot more fancy later on. But trendline alerts and price alerts are pretty good to get the job done. And definitely use as many as you want. I think we've got a limit of 300 per person, but I haven't gotten anywhere near the limit personally using this platform every single day to do my trading. So let us know what you think of the alert features. So with that said, let's move on to this element in the chart. This is basically an earnings indicator, and right now they are located based on the fiscal quarter. We'll be moving it so it identifies the actual day on the chart where this was, reported. But right now it's, reported with the fiscal quarter. You can see added information about the earnings. And let's go ahead and unhide the stats chart here, which provides even more information. And you can see a lot of data here going back many different quarters. For most stocks, we've got about 10 to 15 quarters going back in history, as well as, 10 quarters going out in the future. Looking at estimates, you can see anything to the right of this dotted line, anything that is a little bit grayed here and showing that future quarter is an estimate, while anything back here is reported. You can also hover over any reported quarter to see the percent surprise, dollar surprise, the reported number, the estimate, and you can do that for the sales number as well. So definitely very helpful to identify when the overall street is getting caught off guard, which might cause a move in the stock. That's what leads to a lot of gap ups. So a very handy feature to identify and have quick access to on a hover. You can also take a look at the estimate right here, and also right next to the estimate, you can see when these have been revised upwards using this blue arrow, and also if it's been revised lower. I'm not sure if this stock has any of those, but we'll go ahead and find a stock who does. There we go, Airbnb. If it's revised lower, you can see also a visual indicator right there. You might also notice these blue bars here. These signify when growth is accelerating. So over these 3 quarters, you can see it goes from 46% to 500% to 700%. That's very strong acceleration, and that's why we've got this blue bar underneath highlighting that. This also applies to estimates, as well as both earnings growth as well as sales growth. And if it's deceleration, you'll see a red bar underneath as well. So once again, a very nice visual highlight as you're going through stocks. You can quickly identify when a stock is accelerating, and that should draw your eyes and just help highlight that. So you've got access to the best ideas and quick and added information about these numbers right here. You can also go ahead and click this options menu, switch to annual numbers here, and you can also switch between 4 years, 8 years, and also going back to quarterly, you can switch between 4 and 8 depending on how much you'd like to see, as well as toggle on and off some different options over here. And also, if you are on the quarterly numbers and you switch over to a weekly chart, you'll see it automatically changes over to these annual numbers, just because that's a more longer term reference point. And yeah, just a really handy feature. And switching back, you can see it goes back to those quarterly numbers. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the stats table. Definitely very handy. You can also switch over to a line chart representation. I personally like the table chart. It just makes a little bit more sense to my eyes, but definitely make use of this how you would like. And in order to hide the stats chart, go ahead and click that icon, open it up. We might switch this up a little bit to make it a little bit more accessible. But for now, just look for these icons to hide and show the stats table. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the data table, which is where you can add even more data points that are relevant to the particular stock that you're looking at. So let's go ahead and open that up by clicking this icon. And you can see I've got all this set up here, all the data points that are relevant to my process, relevant to Adobe in particular. And as you go through different charts, this updates along with it. And you can go ahead and look at this in 1 column, 2 columns, and edit this and customize it and add any data points you wish. Very similar to how we set up the screens as well as data columns. And you basically add a data point by clicking this plus icon, searching through or checking something off here. You basically select the category that you'd like to add it to. We'll go ahead and add one to setups. So let's select this, and then we'll just add the IPO date to that category right here. X this out, and you can see it's now saved. it's reflected over here. You can see when it IPO'd, and you can also switch it back to the single column view, scroll down and see that same data point. So this is kind of my preferred setup right here. I like seeing a lot about the company info, momentum and technical, but definitely make use of the full customizability options with the data table and make this your own. And we've got a whole other tutorial covering this feature in depth. So go ahead and check that out if you want more information about that. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the data table and kind of screener overview. So it's really handy going through charts. You've got the data points on a per stock basis over here, looking at many stocks in a row, and then even added more depth over here with the data table. You've got the stats table updating, and you basically get the technical picture as well as fundamental view, all in one, all in one layout, all in one screen right there for you. So you can make decisions that much faster and find top ideas and ideally, perform better, which is the ultimate goal. So definitely a great layout here. And we're moving on to the watch list. First, talking about how to add stocks to a watch list. You can use the bulk action items here, right here. Click add to, and you can even create a new deep list right here, but we'll go ahead and add this to the weekly focus list 7.2. We'll go ahead and add that. So those stocks were added to that list. You can also go ahead and use the colored list, the target list here in the Deepvue platform by clicking the icon and selecting any of these 5 colored lists. And basically what these colored lists are dedicated lists that you can assign any name you want and, basically use to sort similar category stocks to those same categories. So I like to use my list as my daily focus list, my weekly focus list, my leaders list, as well as my wide focus list, and also my sectors and industry group lists. So these are nice and quick and easy. In 2 steps, I can assign Apple to the red group. I can do the same with this one, give it the blue color. And as you go through, a screen result or a watch list, you can very quickly see that, hey, Apple's in the red group. That means something significant. So maybe you use your red group to highlight all stocks that have triple-digit earnings growth or triple-digit sales growth. If then you look through a momentum or technical-based screen and you see that Apple also has, that red coloring around, that it's not only in a super strong technical pattern, but also really strong earnings or sales growth or whatever you'd like to assign that red group to. So really nice, quick and easy thing right there. And you can also go ahead and take it off the target list or, add it to any target list using this drop-down arrow as well. And you can see the names of my lists right there. So that's pretty much it when it comes to adding stocks to a watch list. You can also bulk select here, select all, deselect all, and click copy. So you can copy symbols to Twitter very easily. And then let's go ahead and move on to the watch list. So the Deeplist module is where you store your deep list or watch list. Let's give that a click, and you can see all mine over here on the top hand screen. You can see, how I've laid things out. You can quickly go in between them. In order to add a stock to a watch list, you can either go from the screener or just click add new. We'll search for, let's say, Zoom, give that a click, then click add. It's automatically added to the bottom here. You can also use the bulk select options to go ahead and delete stocks from a list here. And you can also, if you're creating a new deep list by using this icon, let's go ahead and name this tutorial July. Oh, can't spell here today. You can go ahead and create that new deep list. It's automatically over here on the left-hand side. And you can also go ahead and click add new symbol here. You can paste icons from one symbol to a next. So let's go ahead, or one watch list to a next. So let's go ahead and select 3, click copy. And you can see that you can then go ahead and add new symbol. And we'll go ahead and Control V and paste those in, click add. And there you go. They're now part of this deep list. So you can also drag and drop these to orient them however you'd wish. And really, once again, customize this to suit your fancy. And you can assign a particular column set to this watch list. And once again, analyze both the fundamentals through the data column, stats table, and data table here, as well as focus on the chart by hiding the stats table, clicking this icon to hide the data table, And if you want to focus really on the technical price action, you can, and really drill into the chart pattern using the chart itself. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the Deeplists. In both the screener as well as Deeplist module, if you want to search for a particular stock, you can either click here in the search field right there, go ahead and type, so we'll do GLBE, and that will bring up that symbol right here. You can see its info over here, and if we have the data table, you can see it populates that, or you can just click on the chart and type. So let's bring up Apple. Once again, I can't spell here, and give that a click. And there you go. It's brought up right there for you, and you can quickly, add that to a watch list if you'd like, using these select options, whatever you would like. And if one more thing about Deeplists, if you want to find a particular Deeplist that's not here, where this is scrollable, you can always go ahead and click this drop-down menu, search for a particular Deeplist, or once again, look within different folders, or simply click one of these Deeplists, and I'll go ahead and select it for you. So that's the Deeplist module. So moving on to the alerts, what you want to do once again to create alert is draw a trend line wherever there's a chart here for you. Right click and click add alert, then fill out the options, and you want to go ahead and create. So that's how you create it. You can see it changes to orange and gives you a pop-up menu when that is created. And in order to monitor alerts that come through, you'll see them pop up as a notification over right here on the top right hand side, and you'll also see them pop up in terms of a number right here. So giving this a click, this brings out the alert pop out module, and you can see you can change the time frame, whether it's past 15 minutes, past month, past week, past 24 hours, and you can see a preview of that alert. So you get a lot of information in a quick amount of time just in this box here. The stock is NVIDIA, it's rising above the alert. This is the price percent change on that day. This is the day of that alert. You've got the current price there, the relative volume, so it's below 1, so it's below average volume. The price surge is the price percent change in the past 15 minutes. So just in one quick picture, you get how the stock is performing on the day, what its price is, what the volume is like, and what that recent price momentum is in that past 15 minutes. So you get a really clear picture. And this pops up in app by SMS, as well as it can be sent to your email. So really handy feature there. I love this alert pop out. Really saves me time and lets me know whether I should actually check out the chart of that stock. So once again, to open the full alerts module, you can either click one of these here or click manage alerts down here. But we'll go ahead and click NVIDIA. This loads the manage alerts module here, and you can see all the alerts that I've got saved. We'll open up these columns. You can see when it's created, the alert type, and if I've got a note here, I don't typically leave notes for most of my alerts here because I'm setting them and resetting them all the time. But you can also go ahead and check on the status, turn alert on and off if it's been activated, and add notes if you would like to, edit the alert, whatever you would like to within that alert module. And once again, we have full tutorials on the alerts module, both setting and monitoring alerts, that you should definitely check out if you'd like more than a brief overview. But that's pretty much it for the alerts. Once again, you can sort by status symbol created, as well as that note icon. Moving on down to the knowledge base, this is where we store, as I mentioned, all the tutorials and articles for Deepvue. So you can give that a click and it'll bring up this web page where you can search for different articles, as well as go through these different categories right here. Then we've got your account where you'll find your information, and you can change account settings down there. This tab is very important. This is the support module, and this is where you can report an issue, request a feature, contact us if you're having trouble, check the status of the Deepvue servers, see any messages and news updates from us where we talk about updates to the platform, new features that we're always trying to introduce, and you can also see the roadmap for Deepvue and vote on these different added features. You can see dark mode, which I mentioned here. Chart glance view is what we're working on pretty closely here. This is where you're looking at multiple charts, in a watch list, in a deep list, where you can see 3x3 charts to quickly go through a large list of ideas and actually see all their charts all in one. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the Deepvue platform. One more thing that I do want to highlight when it comes to visualizations is, next to a stock, if the earnings are coming up, you can see a red flag. If it's red, it means earnings are coming up pretty soon, July 13th. If it's gray, it's a little bit further out. You'll also see, dividend notifications. And if you hover over a symbol here, you'll see a quick description of the stock. So some more handy features over here in the data columns. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Hopefully this was helpful. Let us know if you have any questions, and yeah, check out all the rest of the tutorials. And if you're not already signed up as a Deepvue subscriber, definitely consider it. I think it's the best program for techno fundamentalists and just technical minded traders in general. And we're continually adding new features, new modules, and we've got so much in store for the next few months and next few years. Some great ideas here, inspired by our own trading, our own wants and needs as full-time traders. Definitely go ahead and check it out and see if it's right for you. So thanks so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in future tutorials. Take care.